Now we turn to Washington and the battle overnight to prevent a government shutdown just days before Christmas. ABC's Jay O'Brien has more. Jay, good morning.
Well, good morning. The federal government technically shutting down for just a few hours, but the impacts expected to be minimal as lawmakers scrambled to pass a last-minute funding plan in a process that has been thrown into upheaval by President-elect Trump and his close confidant, Elon Musk.
This morning, a painful holiday government shutdown narrowly averted, the Senate approving a new bipartisan deal just minutes after the midnight deadline.
On this vote, the yeas are 85, the nays are 11. The 60-vote threshold having been achieved, the bill is passed.
Earlier, the House overwhelmingly passing the legislation, the third attempt by Speaker Mike Johnson to fund the government after President-elect Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk tanked his first bipartisan bill, and Republicans' Plan B failed on the floor Thursday.
We also, in this bill, as you know, took care of Americans who desperately needed and deserved the assistance.
The legislation funds the government until mid-March, provides $100 billion in disaster relief and $30 billion in economic assistance for struggling American farmers. But it doesn't include a last-minute demand from Trump raising the debt ceiling, the limit on how much the federal government can borrow.
Is taking the debt limit out of this defying President Trump?
Well, the debt limit was taken out because the Democrats walked away from that last night.
Democrats getting behind the measure only after Republicans stripped out Trump's request and put the issue off to next year.
The reckless effort to remove the ability for the American people to have a real discussion in terms of fiscal responsibility by trying to jam a debt ceiling suspension into the legislation at the 11th hour was not sustainable.
Johnson speaking with Trump and Musk before the vote. The billionaire, who previously called Johnson's first funding plan a crime and criticized those Republicans who supported it, now posting overnight the speaker did a good job. But 34 Republicans voted against the measure.
And unfortunately, I came to D.C. for us to get fiscal sanity.
Do you think Speaker Johnson needs to be worried about his job now?
Yes.
An averted shutdown means millions of government employees won't have to go without a paycheck over the holidays, including military families like Sarah Strader's.
It doesn't remove the stress and the anxiety. If you've lost our trust that you will do your job the first time, how are we supposed to trust you'll do it the next time?
And there were parts of that initial government funding proposal, the one that was tanked by Trump and Musk, that did not make it into this ultimate final deal, like legislation to crack down on junk fees, legislation to criminalize explicit deepfake images, and even a bill to give members of Congress a pay raise. Will.
And Jay, we're learning in a surprise move last night, the Senate passed two bills that were originally stripped out of Speaker Johnson's funding plan. What were those?
Yeah, the first was to transfer ownership of RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. from the federal government to D.C., which wants to build a new venue on that site and possibly draw the Washington Commanders back to their old stomping grounds. The Senate was able to do that by acting on old legislation that had already passed the House in order to pass that, and also $100 million in childhood cancer research, which had also been stripped out of that funding plan. Will.
All right, Jay O'Brien in D.C., thanks.